Okay, I think we're live.
I think we are live too.
Fantastic. How's it going, Orlando?
I'm fine, thank you. How's it going, Chloe? It's been a while. It's
Yeah,
been
it
a
has been
while.
a while. It has been a while. Brand new show. And I think the most important thing to start with is, can we clarify for all the listeners, who is tea and who is hot sauce in this?
I think I'm T. I'm the calmer one.
Uh-uh. That's what I was worried that everyone was going to think.
No, I am
I'm
hot
tea.
sauce. I
I'm
am hot
tea
sauce,
from
everybody.
we love a cup of tea in England. So I'm tea. Orlando's hot sauce. Let's just leave it at that.
Exactly.
Um, all right. So
Brand
what
new show. I'm very excited about this, Chloe.
I know it's going to be good, I reckon, because it just gives us an opportunity. I mean, obviously, I haven't spoken to you properly about trading since October, November last year.
Yes, since
So
October, November last year. That's right. That's right.
it's been a while, and I think it's just really nice sometimes to just have a bit of time in the day to kind of share opinions on the markets and get other ideas. And I
And you
think
know
as a
what?
trader, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I believe, I totally agree with you. And because, this job can be really, really lonely. And
Exactly.
you can get inside your head too much. And I believe that it's necessary to have these kinds of conversation with other traders and have other points of view. Not, no, not saying that one is wrong and one is correct. No, but to have different points of view and have this conversation, airs your view on the market. At least it works for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I was about to say the same thing. As a trader, I spend most of my time just trading alone. I have the strategy that I trade and I love to trade that strategy. And I'm pretty set in my ways, I'd say. I'm pretty old fashioned. I like to stick to what I know.
Yep.
Um, but I also just really like chatting to other traders and getting other opinions. And sometimes the opinions aren't exactly the same as mine. That's always going to be the case. But sometimes you just get a little bit of a flicker of, oh, do you know what? That's interesting. Maybe that's a market that I'm going to look at as well this week. So I think that's what
Exactly. Or
we're
maybe that's the justification I was looking for to get on that trade.
exactly, and it can give you added confidence, especially if and I don't know what stage of trading many of our listeners and watchers are at, but especially if you are perhaps newer to trading and you are lacking in a little bit of confidence, then it's really nice to have someone else's opinion and just have that reconfirm what you already thought about the market. I certainly, when I was learning to trade, I certainly found that really reassuring to kind of have an opinion and
Definitely.
then think, oh, I don't know whether I should take that trade or not. And then someone else to say, oh, I'm looking at Aussie dollar long, and me to think, oh, yes, I got it right. I'm definitely entering that trade now. So,
Exactly. And
hopefully
that's
we
that's
can.
that's how you learn how to not second guess yourself.
Exactly. One thing I would say, though, is um, what it's really important to do, I think, is to settle on a strategy that works for you. And that's not
Yes.
going to be the same for every single trader. So, Orlando, what you trade and your strategy is going to work for other people, no doubt about that. But it's not going to work for everyone because there are
That
going to be people in different time zones from you, trading at different time frames. Perhaps there's
different
someone trying to trade.
personalities, different trading
Exactly.
personalities. For example, Chloe, and I was talking to Ash about this earlier today. I cannot day trade. I cannot do it. It's too zoomed in for me. And for example, talking about the dollar, I've been talking to a couple of traders that they have taken dollar based trades in the last couple of weeks. And I haven't, because to me there's no direction. And it depends on the personality of each trader. And what I came to realize is that you need to go with whatever makes sense to you. you know don't force it.
Absolutely.
Don't force it.
Exactly.
Just
Don't force it. Yeah,
exactly. So,
that's
and yeah, I mean, don't force it. Just go with whatever makes sense to you. And you know what, having these kind of conversations with other traders, sometimes you are not going to see what they're seeing right in the charts, because of the same things. But it really doesn't matter, because what matters is the overall bias in the market.
exactly. And I've had this experience time and time again, because I have actually spent a lot of time trading with Jeff, for example.
Yeah,
And he very often will have the complete opposite view of the market to me. And that's because he's trading a different strategy to the strategy that I trade. Sometimes his strategy will set up and he'll make money. Sometimes his strategy won't set up. Meanwhile, my strategy will, and I'll make
yeah,
money. And you
exactly.
can have a completely different view of the market from someone else and still make money, because you're trading a different strategy, a different time frame, etc. So it's important,
Exactly.
I think, for the people listening to really try and take what we say, because obviously we're going to be doing some market analysis and sharing our opinions on the market, but take what we say and use that, make that useful for yourself. Just because I say I'm looking at gold
Great
long
advice. That is a
doesn't
great
mean that
advice.
gold is definitely going to go long. It just means if it does go long, I'm going to get into a trade at some point according to my strategy. Someone
Hmm.
else might be looking for a reversal on gold, and that might happen. And perhaps they've got a strategy that works better on reversals, whereas my strategy is a trend trading strategy. And perhaps that day they're going to make money, and I'll be sitting out of the market, or something like that. So
Exactly. Maybe they're going to go short on the pullback that you are waiting for to get long.
exactly,
Everybody, I
exactly,
mean,
and
it's
it's
about timing. Exactly. I mean, and that's very important, because what I've learned when I first started is that blindly following someone else's strategy without really understanding the reason or the rationale behind it really won't work in the long term, right? um and yeah, I mean, that's a great piece of advice, Chloe. And I've always been keen of telling people, of telling other traders, that if it doesn't make sense to you, don't force it, and try to make sense to I mean, try to make sense um by how did you make sense of your strategy? What I did, I mean, I just went back in historic price action and started to look at the setups that I was trading, and trying to discover what really worked in the long term with me.
exactly that. There isn't really a shortcut, to be honest, Orlando. I think it's
No.
really important to go back over historical data, look at your strategy. If you have, maybe the beginnings of a strategy or something, or even if you've learned a strategy from someone else. If I could teach you my strategy, and you could follow it blindly, but you would never really truly have the belief in it. And it's the belief
Yeah,
that builds the
exactly.
confidence and the strong trading psychology that is 100% necessary in order to make that successful and consistent for yourself. And that there is no shortcut. I can teach you the rules of my strategy, but there's really no shortcut for going back in time and looking at a chart, looking at every setup and thinking, right, if I do this, this, and this, I can see how I can make money. Um, and yeah, back testing is one of the things that I've done a lot of in order to build enough confidence in my strategy that I can now teach it to other people and be sure that that is going to help them to make money in the long run.
Yeah, because it's based on the raw data, right? It's not. I mean,
Exactly.
it's based on data. The probabilities of success of your entries, exits, and with good risk management, you are going to be making money in the long run, taking the same trade on a vacuum. That's excellent. And the thing
Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that I mean, there's so many kinds of or so many different types of strategies, or there's some different types of traders. And when you were talking about going back in historic data, that's something that I'm very keen of too, because I call it profitability analysis. Um, when because journaling to me is very important, and going back on your trades is very important, and not only going back on your trades, but really mining that data, because it's there for a reason. And sometimes I have found that I am not profitable in certain markets, and I need to drop them, and just by doing that, I mean, just by finding that leak, I can see a much better return, um,
Yeah,
on the long.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's crazy. I
Um,
mean, yeah, I always say that the smallest leak can sink the biggest ship. In the this is an I mean, I compare it to being a doctor, because you're always learning. I mean, we're not going to save somebody's life, but but I mean, it's a never learn and a never learning process to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, shall we take a look at some markets then, Orlando? Did
Yes,
you have
let's do
any
it.
that you are particularly desperate to talk about today?
No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. I see you have the gold chart on the
Yeah, I
daily.
have the gold. Do you know why I'm looking at gold? I'm looking at
Yeah,
gold because, for starters, it's in an uptrend. And as you know, and hopefully our listeners will get to know that I am a trend trader. So I exclusively trade trending markets. Um, it can be a little frustrating because the markets don't trend all of the time. So there are
yep,
times where I'm just sitting out of the markets. But when the markets do trend, it can be just unbelievable. It makes you feel like, oh my goodness, this is just too good to be true. And
yeah,
it's not. If you learn to analyze the markets properly and pick your entries correctly, then it can be really good. The reason I wanted to look at gold is because it's we're trading during quite unusual times at the moment with this coronavirus crisis that's going on around the world. And I've
yes,
found
definitely.
that there have been a lot of kind of mainstream media reports and news reports about various things. Right at the beginning, we had the whole oil price fiasco, where that was very much, of course, we're looking at the prices of gold and oil all the time, but
Hmm.
not necessarily the general public are doing that. Whereas when it's actually in the news, you tend to get the general public becoming more interested, perhaps, in maybe just taking a speculative trade on oil or a speculative trade on gold or something like that. So gold is one of those things I think you do get a lot of speculators trading. And
Definitely.
that's one of the reasons why I think it's been so interesting to trade as a trader, because we have just seen these trends continue. That just around here, let me get my pen back up. Just around here, that was the start of the, not the start, I mean, it was towards the end of February, beginning of March. That was the start of the crash that we saw in the markets with this coronavirus worsening around the world.
Yep.
And ever since then, we've just had this beautiful uptrend. And it doesn't really matter what kind of trader you are. There is money to be made in this market. It doesn't matter whether you're trading on the daily time frame or whether you're an intraday trader that trades on the 5-minute time frame. There is money to be made with the flow, the overall flow of the market. And I imagine that a lot of speculators might have felt extremely pleased with themselves, um,
Yes.
by
Over, please, I
speculating and
imagine.
over pleased, yeah, speculating on this. And I also do know some kind of relatively new traders who've got caught out by this move here. It was a huge downwards move. Um, and that can happen as well. But what I wanted to have a look at were some levels that are pretty important to me. and just see where we are. So those are the two levels that are most important to me. We've got the all-time highs from previously back in
Yep.
2011, I think it was.
10, 11, yes.
Yeah, and then we've got this kind of triple top pattern here. So we got a level of resistance there. Those are the two most recent relevant horizontal levels, and I spend a lot of my time looking at horizontal levels. Now, price is above both of those. So apart from this new all-time high, there isn't really any resistance above price. When there is no resistance above price, all I can do is go on round numbers, because people like saying, oh, I'm going to sell at 2,150, for example, or I'm going to sell
Yeah,
at
psychological
2,000, or
numbers. I mean,
exactly,
psychological resistance.
psychological numbers. So right now, we're just kind of midway in between the all-time high and this last level of resistance, which was the previous all-time high. So that means that there are, for me, still potential long trading opportunities on intraday timeframes. And I do trade intraday. I trade a lot end of day, but I do trade intraday. And so I will look for long opportunities on this until technically I see a reason to stop. And a reason to stop for me would be perhaps a lower high on this daily time frame, and that would maybe give me an indication I need to sit out of the market and wait and see what's going on. But that's something that I am still interested in trading to
A-
the upside,
And
just
right
because
now,
this
would you
trend
wait
has
for a retest of the 1920?
um on the daily time frame, yes, I would do that. On the intraday time frames, I'm looking for actually slightly smaller moves. So to be honest with you, I would even be happy with a retest around this 1960 level. That
Yeah.
would be another place that I would be looking for a retest, perhaps even a little higher. It's all about horizontal levels for me, but again, this 1980 level as well. Those are two areas that on intraday timeframes I'm looking out for. So,
I really like this. I call them key levels. And you know what? If you notice there on your chart, the level that we are right now, it's kind of the previous base before we broke to the downside.
right,
So,
exactly,
so that
exactly
leads
from
me
over
to
here.
believe that we might get that pushed down towards that previous level, previously broken level, the 1980 level, 78, 1978 level, for a long opportunity, because it's looking pretty exhausted at the 2009, 2010 level, that previous base.
Exactly. And that's the other thing about trend trading. It's all well and good saying this is in an uptrend, I'm going to buy it. But if you get the timing wrong, then that can easily lose you money. So
Yeah.
it's about being patient. You can make money out of this market to the downside, and you can make money out of this market to the upside. The key is getting the timing right. That
Yeah,
is
definitely,
that is
definitely.
the
And what
key.
you said about patience too, because if you are patient I mean, if you're patient enough, you are going to get the best risk to reward scenario on your money. And that, I mean, and
Exactly.
that exactly, and that is going to compound your gains heavier on the long term. So, and look at what's happening right now. I mean, there's some sellers coming into the market at that level. I have been watching that exact level. Actually, I had my take profit on a long goal that I took at the break of that kind of a flag around the 1933 level.
Uh-huh. Around
Yeah,
here.
yeah, exactly. But I closed it earlier because I wasn't in front of my chart. So I closed it around the 1990, just because we were very close to that target. And I also saw on the gold futures the historic volume at that level is pretty high. So that led me to believe that that there was going to be some profit taking at that level, and also some sellers jumping in, some short-term sellers, right? That could bring price down. So I didn't want to leave that trade open, because also I mean, because the move to the upside was so steep. I didn't have any levels to move my stop losses above, so that's the reason
Right.
I decided to close it. But yes, I mean, the way that you look at the market, and the way that you are describing how you look at it with horizontal levels, I mean, I do exactly the same. I call them key levels or swing levels, but it's the same, you know. I'm always looking for that previous base or that previous high, that previous low. For example, right now that I mean, if I'm not on a long trade in gold anymore, but I would definitely look for that between the 1978 to 1961 level for a long. Of course, that I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you use limit orders or enter at market, but personally speaking, I like to see the reaction to those levels before I take the decision. So that's why uh, uh, only like 7% of my trades are with limit orders.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same as you, Orlando, because you know, as good as we may be at market analysis, there is no one in the world that can, with 100% certainty, predict exactly the turning points and the way the market's going to go. So it's entirely possible, despite our biases and our desire to look out for particular levels and take trades, it's entirely possible that gold could just come down and do that. And if you've got a limit order here or here, for example, then you're
Right.
definitely going to lose money if that happens. You know, and we can't
Exactly.
predict. We can say that the probability is higher because it's in an uptrend and we've picked these levels based on previous support and resistance. So we
Exactly.
can say that the probability is higher of price continuing the uptrend, but we can't be 100% certain. So absolutely, for me, I'm always looking for price to come to a level and then give me confirmation at this point that it's
Exactly.
going to turn around in my direction.
Exactly. And
Um,
sometimes even after the confirmation, you're going to get subbed out, but that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But when I get that confirmation, the probability of success of that trade is much, much higher. And to be completely honest with you, Chloe, also it eases my mind a lot. In the sense that
yes,
I mean, I like to trade stress free, you know, well, for example, well, yeah, I like to trade stress free. So, um, having an order without a confirmation to me is just stressful, and it's going to put me in the correct mindset, and it's going to make me make mistakes that on the long run is going to make me lose money. So yeah, I completely agree with you about patience and confirmation, etc. No chasing the market, and those levels look actually very, very good. Just look at the crash that we had on gold last week. Well, price just went through those levels, and I imagine that people that use limit orders that were trying to catch that knife lost money on doing exactly what you were just explaining.
right, exactly. Yes. Um, that yeah, that's exactly right. And it's all about patience and having a stress-free life.
Yeah,
Yes, I do know people who enjoy the kind
the
of
rush.
the rush of trading, but in all honesty, they're not profitable. They're not consistently profitable. They
Yeah,
enjoy spending all day looking at the charts and they enjoy the rush of being in a winning trade, but they're not profitable traders. And to be honest with you, Orlando,
yeah,
um, I don't trade for the enjoyment. I'm not saying I don't enjoy it, but that's not the reason that I'm trading. I'm not trading because I want something to fill my day with because I'm bored otherwise. I've got plenty of things that I can do with my time. I'm trading to make money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a
That is the
job.
bottom line. So it's not
Exactly.
about the rush. It's not about it's not about catching tops and the bottoms and then going to all of my friends saying, oh, I knew that that was going to turn around then, so I piled
Oh,
in and
I
I bought
hate
loads of
that.
gold and whatever.
I
My
hate
friends
that.
don't care about that anyway. You know, they've got their own lives.
Exactly.
They don't care whether I pick the top or the bottom of the oil
They
market
wouldn't
or
even
the euro
understand
or whatever.
sometimes.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, they wouldn't even understand
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly. So that's not what it's about. It's just about consistently doing the same boring thing day in, day out
Exactly. I was
and
I
making
was
money
going to
from it.
say that. I was going to say that, I mean, whenever you feel like trading is boring, it's because you're doing it right.
Yeah. And you know what? I heard recently, I can't remember who said it, but you know, we do have a trading team over in Singapore, lots of different team members.
Uh-huh.
And one of the team members described me as monotonous, which in England is not actually that much of a compliment. It kind of means a bit boring.
Yeah, in the
And
Salvador too.
he didn't mean it as an
He be,
insult at
he made it
all.
as a
What
compliment.
he meant it as a compliment because he was saying my trading is monotonous. I do the same thing every single day.
He
Um,
called you disciplined.
Right, exactly. That would have maybe been a more tactful word to use. But
Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't meant at all as an insult. It was just that, you know, I am boring when I trade. I will stick my hands up and admit it. I am pretty boring when I trade. I
you,
just do the same thing every day.
yeah, I strive for that. I strive for that, and whenever I feel that I feel something about my trading, I stop because I'm doing it wrong. I know I'm doing it wrong. Um, I mean, if trading has taught me something, is just to be emotionless about my decisions. And when I
Yeah,
get emotional by my decisions, it's because there's not optimal decisions. And my goal is to always make the optimal decision with the information that I have. If it goes my way, good. If it doesn't, that's fine, but it's all about emotionless decisions. And whenever I feel that itch, that not itch because it's not an itch, but whenever I feel something about my decisions, I go back to the whiteboard, because there's something wrong there. And
absolutely.
yeah, and being disciplined and following your rules, trusting the process, and focusing on quality and non quantity. Eventually, you're going to see the results. And I mean, and it doesn't have to be complicated, Chloe. I mean, I just saw the way that you trade. I mean, it's very, very similar the way that I trade, and it's not complicated. It's just about levels. It's just about levels and waiting for price to fill you, or well, to not to fill you, because I don't use limit orders, but to come to your levels. No chasing it. And I mean, I like it.
Yeah, yeah, it's makes things
We're pretty
simple.
similar in that way.
Listen, we've just got 1 or 2 minutes left before we have to close the show for today. Is there another market that you really had a burning desire to take a look at today before we finish?
Uh, no, listen, Chloe, because we have 2 minutes, that's completely fine. I mean, well, I can talk about it tomorrow. I want to talk about silver,
Mm-hmm.
and the yen. But I mean, we can do that tomorrow, since they're long-term views that I'm going to talk about. So nothing
Great.
very, nothing super.
Nothing pressing.
Exactly, that's the word. Thank you.
And this is something else that I really want to note for anyone who's listening. Having a long-term view of the market, you might think that sounds boring because, you know, it's not something actionable right now today, but
That's so
actually
important.
this is one of the things that really, really helps, A, to build confidence, because if you have a long-term view of the market and then that happens, then you can be really confident in any trading opportunities that you find once that thing that you thought would happen happens.
Yeah.
And also, it can really help you to pick good, high reward to risk opportunities. It's
And
not
not to
about
trade
just
against
getting
the
quickly in and
bias.
quickly out. It's about picking a really good opportunity and riding that for the maximum potential.
Yeah.
And that is what having long-term views really can help with. So
And and also that having long-term views has also helped me to not trade against my bias, my long-term view, not to trade pullbacks, not to trade reversals. It's so much easier. I mean, for example, I'm not going to be looking for a short in metals, right? Even though I took one last week, that one in gold, but that's different. But I'm not going to be looking for a long-term short in metals. I'm going to be waiting for that pullback to get in on the long, because my long-term view on the market is bullish, very bullish.
right,
So yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And I will say as well that some of my very best trades every single year, I have probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 trades that really make my year, in all
Yeah.
honesty. And those are all based on good chart analysis and long-term views and patience.
And
Um,
patience, and patience.
patience is key.
And I have a question before we go, Chloe. I know that
Mm.
we are running out of time, but I mean, for example, these 3 4 trades that make your year, do you write them for as long as possible without taking profit, or do you scale in and out of them?
I tend to scale in and out, Orlando, because I trade on various
Yes,
different time frames.
yes, me
Um,
too, me
so I
too.
will, yes, I will ride them for as much profit as I can, but I will always scale in and out as well as.
Yeah,
And that's really because, you know, when you get a really, really good opportunity like that, you just don't want to waste it, do you? You want to take as much out of it as you possibly can.
definitely. But also, the question was because you don't. I mean, really, you can never know that you are that the trade that you just took is going to be that one trade. So, in my mind, and that's the reason that I do hold my trades for a period of time, but I do take out uh, profit at my key levels, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to ride them above them or not. I don't know if that's the trade that's going to make me. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I do, I because psychologically speaking, it eases me too. Uh, I mean, I remember watching a big position, being up a lot of money and waking up and being in the negative, and that really hurts. That
That really
completely,
hurts. Yeah.
yeah, that really hurts, and completely changes your mindset. And that's not, I mean, and that it is the little things in trading. You have to understand who you are. You have to understand yourself. And I know that if I don't take profits, I'm not going to be at ease. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, it's complete. You need to do whatever it is that makes you feel at ease with your trading. That's the most important
Exactly,
thing.
exactly. Well, I
So
love this first show. I hope it's the first of many, Chloe.
yeah, it definitely will be. Yes, and hopefully the listeners and watchers enjoyed. And we will be back same time tomorrow for more market analysis and chat. But in the meantime, I will bid you adieu. We have got another show coming up on our YouTube channel, which is Ash and Jeff with the US session. That is in, I believe, 10 minutes time.
Yeah, 10 minutes
So,
time.
and those guys are awesome, awesome,
Yes,
awesome
they are.
traders. You have to tune into that one. In fact, I very often do. So
Me
um
too.
All right, folks, we will speak to you again tomorrow. Cheers, Orlando. I'll speak to you again
Cheers,
tomorrow.
Chloe. Bye.
Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, well,